All right, guys, this is actually day 4 of our training of how to train a dragon. So this is our Sailfin dragon. We officially came up with, I think, what is going to be his name, Draco Malfoy the Dragon. What do you think about that, hon? Mm-hmm. She signed off on it. Now, I didn't film day 3 of training with Draco, but you saw the past 2 videos of how he was doing. He was doing the same on day 3, but day 4, I wasn't even going to film him. Oh, Effie's out here, so we're going to have to... But he was doing exceptionally well, and so I wanted to record that. Now, if you have gloves and arm sleeves, his training process is actually going to go even better because you're not going to flinch as much and you're not going to be like juggling him and grabbing him, because he can just scratch at you, he can just reposition himself, and it's not going to hurt you at all. The first thing I did for him today was gave him a bath, and he was nice and calm in the bath. Now we're actually going to take his training a step further, and we're actually going to walk him around the house and slightly around the block just to get him used to the sights and sounds of this environment. And eventually, when we bring this guy to like fundraiser events and sponsorship opportunities, we want him to be super comfortable around cars, kids, adults, everything. That's another thing the gloves is going to help with, is if he makes a quick jump, I could quickly reposition him with my hands and it's not going to hurt at all, and I won't have to favor my hands over positioning him. I could choose the comfortability of positioning him instead of getting my hands torn up with his claws. So let's take a walk, hon. It's been a while since we went around the block, right? Now also, don't let them just sit in one position, because realistically, if you're using him in fundraiser events and stuff, you're gonna want to be passing him around from person to person or shoulder to shoulder. He's gonna be moving around a lot. So you want to get him used to moving around a lot. Also give him a nice large platform, like your arm or like your hands, to just kind of go around on. So before we head out the gate, I'm actually gonna switch hands because this arm's getting really tired. And this is where the gloves make it super easy. I could easily just switch hands like that. I couldn't do that so easily if I didn't have the gloves, because he would be tearing my hands up literally to shreds. Now, I could only imagine what my neighbors are gonna think, but I'm gonna, try to get him to lay on my elbow like that. So during his training process, this is also his basking time as well. That's why I started him in the water. He could kind of get hydrated, but I want him to get those natural rays of the sun, because in his cage right now, which I have not had a chance to show you, I had to really dial down any wood, anything hard, and I couldn't allow him to get too close to the ceiling where the lights were, because he was jumping into the lights because he was still nervous about his new home. So I literally had to strip his home of everything except one dark hide and one food bowl, and of course a water dish. So the sun that he's getting right now is gonna be the process that he digests from until I can fully set up his cage. So we're just gonna go for a little walk, and I'm gonna transfer him from hand to hand. Especially as I feel him trying to move, I might reposition him onto a different arm. All right, so I just want to take this quick sec to show you as well. As I was repositioning him, he actually kind of jumped onto my chest, shoulder. This is a really good position unless they start crawling down your back. Once they start crawling down your back, it becomes hard to reposition them. And as you lean forward, they keep going more down lower to your back, and you gotta fandangle them out of there. If I could keep him in this kind of baby shoulder position right here, this is great, because it's a really large, solid area for him to just hang out. All right, so this idea just came to me as we're walking to the park from where training right now. One thing that I'm doing is I'm lightly keeping my hand around his tail, so that if I could feel him starting to slip, or if I could feel his legs tensing up to jump, I can kind of reposition him quickly into my arms so that he does not hit the pavement, obviously. So that's another tip that you could use for training these guys in this situation. They like to be up high, but you have to be very careful that they don't fall from up high, because they can still hurt themselves jumping onto concrete and other hard objects. All right, guys, we're here at the park. We just made it to the park, and we were going through his training session. We actually ran into a couple of people at the park, which was really cool, and he was fairly well behaved for that. We were able to bring him up close to people, and he stayed relatively calm because this is part of his training process. Now we're bringing him in the shade a little bit because the Arizona sun is pretty intense. Even though it's only like 90, 95 degrees today, just the direct angle of the sun that we're feeling and the fact that these guys really like it wet and humid, I didn't want him to dry out too much. So we brought him in the shade and figured we'd shoot this last part of the video here before we head back to the house and I give him another soak. So sometimes they're gonna try to readjust themselves like that. I was actually just showing a gentleman over there. He was kind of trying to get away for a second, and I just let him walk hand to hand, just like we do with our leopard geckos. And I didn't let him get away, and he calmed right down after about 5 to 10 seconds. So that's part of the training process as well. You don't want them to think that they can get away. Otherwise, they're always gonna try to get away. So you want them to kind of just learn to chill. And if you can just let them expend their energy, walk them from hand to hand, you're gonna stand a way better chance of these guys calming down, taming down, and being an awesome promotional and event pet for you to show off at parties and whatnot. Okay, so this idea just came to me right now of why do I think that the Sailfin is easier to train than a Tegu, so to speak? And I was thinking about what a Tegu does that a Sailfin doesn't do. So Tegus tend to bite a lot, and they have very hard bite strength if you're trying to train a Tegu down that's wild. Compared to training a Sailfin that's wild, Sailfins are very reluctant to bite. They really don't like to bite, and they really don't bite. Another thing is, a Tegu is more muscular than a Sailfin, and they do a death roll like a crocodile, and that's very hard to calm them down once they start the death roll. The worst thing that these guys do is they just kind of try to jump and get away, and you could let them expend their energy walking hand to hand, and then they eventually just calm down after a few seconds. And with Tegus will death roll until they exhaust you out. It's kind of opposite. So that was just another point that I wanted to bring up about why training these guys I think is a little bit easier than training a wild Tegu. All right, guys, day 4 of How to Train Your Dragon done. We had a minor setback at the very end of day 4. I left him in his water bowl outside, which is a giant water tub, so that I could change his water bowl in his cage. And when I came back outside, he had jumped out of the water bowl and landed on the ground. And when I approached him, because I'm coming in from a high angle, I tried to get low and I put my hand in front of him like that, and he ran away. And they can run very quickly, even at his massive size of 3.5–4 feet. And he actually ran into a beehive on our property, and I chased him into the beehive without even thinking about it because I didn't want him chilling there. I wanted to get him out. And he was kind of in the weeds, the bushes there for a little bit, and he ran out and made his way all the way down our fence. He made a 50-yard dash in like 3 seconds. It was crazy. No, I'm exaggerating. Maybe a 50-foot dash. But he was running for our mobile trailer gate that we have, and bam, slammed right into the gate. So that's what you do have to be careful of with these guys, is when they get into flight mode, they really get into flight mode. And again, flight mode is basically when you're taking in large wild animals. When you're raising them from a baby, it's not an issue. But because these animals literally came from the wild like 30 to 40 days ago, you have to retrain their brain to, they're in a completely different state. They're on a completely different side of the world. They don't know how to communicate with us, and all of that is very important. So day 4, a success all in all. When I finally got a hold of him, he stayed still for me, and he was not, after he had his initial freak out moment, I chased him down, and he was kind of sitting still behind the garbage cans, and I grabbed him, and he was perfectly still and fine. He didn't thrash around or anything like that. I took him back to his cage, and he didn't thrash around or anything in the cage. So I think he just kind of got spooked when, because he jumped out of his water bowl, landed on the ground from like, 1.5 to 2 feet high, and then here I come, to pick him up. And even though I was moving slowly to get him, it was still enough to kind of, startle him, rattle him a little. But when I put him in his cage, he's not jumping around or causing a riot or anything like that. So he's pretty good. Day 4, a success in my opinion. So stay tuned for day 5, 6, 7, all the way up to whenever this guy is officially fully trained, and we can show you how long it actually took us to train this guy from day to day, and you guys joined us on that process. So until next time, my friends, stay safe, feed your reptile passion, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a geeky gecko great day. Peace.